Hey, it's Aaron, Metal Theologian. So it's been a good week for 45s. I ever saw here sort of take a little time and just like sit down and listen to them, you know? Especially when I get one or two new ones in, you know, I'm always good. If it's what I'm excited about, especially, I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. I gotta like sit and listen to all of them again, you know? So I actually do that from time to time, especially like with the new wave of British heavy metal ones specifically. I'll like start at A and just listen to them all the way through, you know? So it's a little bit funny because, I show like what I've been listening to. It like goes through like in a like an actual like order, and I kind of don't like doing videos like that because I sort of like to hold it a little bit back. You know what I mean? I'm sure I've shown some of the same things like 100 times in some of these videos, but people don't do this much anymore. But like a while ago on YouTube, you'd see people who are like, okay, here's my collection, here's the A's, you know, and they do the B's and shit like that. And it's like, man, you're not holding anything back. You know, it's like after you get to Z, why would I keep watching? I've seen it all. You know. Which is maybe a little bit cynical, because the fact is, you know, there's the whole, like, the personalities, right? I mean, that's why you're watching this shit, you know? You can find out about good records anywhere, but, you know, if someone has, like, the delivery in that, that's going to be a channel you want to watch, you know? Like Renee from Spain. It's one of my favorite channels. You know, I don't give a shit what he shows, you know what I mean? It's going to be fun to watch him, you know? Yeah, well, anyway, we're listening to Torture right now. This is the Last Post single. I got this one kind of a long time ago. So not really in keeping with a couple new ones, but we'll get there, you know. Yeah, there are a couple other ones here, though. This is sort of the one that kicked it off, actually, as I was sort of walking around the other day, and I got the first song off this one, Cloven, Hoof. It was kind of stuck in my head. I was sort of walking around like, I was like, I haven't played that record in a while, you know. Like, check this out, you know? That's why there's a warning on here. Seek not to invoke demonic entities beyond the living. Unseen forces mankind can never hope to understand. In satanic pact a soul giving unto hell when time relents to death's command. And you know who's saying that? This fucking guy right here. You gotta love this shit, man. Yeah, this band was so early. This record's like 82 or something like that. I actually found this at Amoeba in San Francisco when I lived there. It's a neat pressing. And back then it was like $10, you know. And I was like, I remember hearing about that band. I'll give them a shot. What the hell, you know? And I didn't think much of it for a long time. And then actually I went to a record show after I moved to Charleston, and one of the dealers there, guy I'm friendly with named David, great guy. I haven't seen him in a while, but nothing but good things to say about him. I'll bet Alan knows him. Yeah, he was raving about this record at one of these record shows. I was like, man, I haven't played that in a while, but it's, I don't know, man. And now I just fucking love it. I just completely did not quite a 180, because like it's not like I didn't like the record, but I did like, you know, a solid 95 to 100 degrees. You know, not a full 180, but yeah, I love this fucking thing now, you know. So, yeah, great band photos. You know, he's fucking working. And they look so young and innocent. Just like all the hapless children out there who sell their souls to Satan by listening to these horrible records. I busted out this guy too. I actually got this one first. No, that's not true. I got this one second. Yeah, The Opening Ritual. Awesome record, man. This is a little bit rougher than the LP, so I sort of latched onto this one first a little bit. Even though the song Back in the USA is probably the weakest song on either of these records, you know? I mean, it's not like a bad song. I don't want to like shit on it too much, but it's the most sort of kind of commercial sounding and not really, you know, sort of doomy, you know? There's only one song overlap on these. Gates of Gehenna is on both of these. And I don't think there's anything as spacey on the LP as Starship Sentinel. So, yeah. Anyway, you gotta love, too, like, the elemental signatures. Earth, water, fire, and air. Yeah. So good. Anyway, don't snooze on Cloven Hoof, you know? These guys were really right in, it's funny, I don't know if it's the sweet spot, but it's definitely a sweet spot. Where they were heavy. And by the standards of, like, 1981, 1982, they were pretty much on the heavy side, you know? I mean, they weren't Venom, you know? But they were at least as heavy as, like, Angel Witch, you know? And I almost feel like collectors overlook them a little bit because they didn't make 45s. You know, I mean, this record's kind of hard to come by. But it's not like you're busting out like a Marquis de Sade 45 or something. It's like, oh, holy fuck, you know, or a Satan single, you know. Like, oh yeah, that Cloven Hoof, that's a nice piece, you know, but people probably freak out a little bit more. This is, again, based on a limited data set, mind you, okay? But people probably get more excited to see the Damascus 12-inch, you know, which is probably, you know, maybe half as good as this Cloven Hoof 12-inch. Fuck, I'll pull it out as a visual aid since I'm talking about it. Maybe let me throw it on for a minute. Yeah, we're sort of doing the Anarchy show today. Yeah, this guy. You probably know it. Ugh. Yeah, it's a cool record, but it's nowhere near as heavy as Cloven Hoof, you know? Yeah, so here's a Torture one. It's one of these little ones that plays at 33 for some reason. Actually, there's a little funny thing that just sort of occurred to me. Oh yeah, I want to hype this one too, I think. Yeah, so this is one I kind of recently. It's I'd sort of been keeping an eye out for a while against my better judgment because the cover is really corny. But like what I heard off it, I thought was really good. So I'm actually gonna fire it up right now, and I'll just tell you, this band is called Janine, which is a horrible name for a band. I mean, my God, you know. And that stiletto logo, you know, as if it were like an actual label instead of a private pressing. I mean, it's kind of funny, but it's definitely more sort of, you know, signaling glam than anything else. But this record's like 81, you know. So anyway, this is another one that's kind of hard to come by, and I came across one that was cheap enough that I could convince myself that I'd gotten a deal, so here it is. But here's the thing that's funny about this. You think about, okay, so here's the cover, right? It doesn't look super heavy, right? That's part of why I wanted to play this, because it's actually a really good record. You know, you look at the Mistress record, that one's going to look like a glam record, too, and it's totally fucking heavy, you know? I'll show the back, too. Yeah, like total, like cheap, like private looking photos, which is exactly what I want to see on my New Wave 45s. Okay, so lest there be any like ambiguity, if these photos look like they've been shot by a professional, that would have been a minus. Yeah, so here's the thing that strikes me about this cover, man. Is this record, if I'm not mistaken, is 1981. So like it has the like the sexy, like, you know, the lips on there and shit, right? But like, if this is 81 and we assume this is the lips of like a 20-year-old, I mean, we're talking about like, that's like a kiss from grandma. That's not like a hot babe, you know what I mean? That's like grandma giving you a big fucking sloppy kiss on the Janine record, so. Maybe that seems a little bit more metal than like, I guess it depends on what kind of metal, you know? And actually, the more I think about it, the more it seems like it could be some sort of weird fetish metal, so I'm actually just going to let it go right now. But this is pretty good, isn't it? It's a nice hook. It's delivered like rockin', it's like earnest, you know? It's not as heavy as like Leather Nun or something, but it's also like 5 years earlier than Leather Nun, you know? Yeah, I just think the song's good, man. I love the hooks in this thing. Speaking of singles, I've talked a bit in the past about sort of my travails with Thin Lizzy, right? Because that was one of those bands, if everyone just know, I was friends with one of the guys from, before, with the old Monster Records distro in San Antonio. I kind of became friends with Phil when I was living in Austin, and you know, I only went down and like saw him at his place like once, but we talked on the phone kind of a lot, and then yeah, it was kind of a sad story. He kind of lost his mind in that. Like, I was Phil's friend, but when Dennis split up the business and started Rockadrome, like I understood why, you know what I mean? Like Phil was pissed. I was like, dude, come on, he's got to eat, you know? Anyway, I was at this guy's house. He had records, every room in his house, floor to ceiling. There's a Geronimo record just sitting there. You know, I bought a Dragon Slayer 45 from him, okay? He had a copy of Kent Rocks I didn't feel like copying. Like, just shit like this, just like all over the place. But his favorite band was Thin Lizzy. I was like, man, if he has that many records and Thin Lizzy is it, and I've always been kind of lukewarm on them, I was like, I gotta figure out what the big deal is with Thin Lizzy, right? So I still have, actually more of the records than I realized. I probably have 5 or 6, but I have had them all, and I've listened to them all, and I like tried to figure out like what the big deal was with them, and you know, I kind of like them. I mean, there's some good stuff, you know. I don't mind having a few Thin Lizzy records, but like, they are not a first-rate band by any stretch as far as I'm concerned. But I actually got this record for free. Ben, some of y'all watch Ben Costello's channel, the Irish dude. Mostly show prog stuff and that. If you're watching me for the metal, then maybe you don't know Ben, but he hasn't uploaded in a while anyway. But great guy, I really like him. But he sent me a little package one time, and they were like the serious records, but then he threw this in there, and I kind of filed it away and forgot about it. But I was actually streaming. I was on a stream with Jeff a couple weeks ago, and I was talking about that on Rick's channel over the Dreadful Minutes. I went to pull up my Thin Lizzy record. I was like, oh, I'd forgotten about this one, so I was like, what the hell? I'm gonna listen to it. And I've got to say, I think I enjoyed this record more than any other Thin Lizzy record I've ever listened to. I was like, you know something? These songs are kind of rocking, you know? Even though they don't look that tough. And I mean, yeah, this is about like Thunder and Lightning era, you know? So it's when they were the most metal that they ever were, you know? It's not like they need to be metal for me to like them, you know what I mean? It's some bands, when they went metal, kind of went to shit, you know? Alice Cooper is kind of a good example of that, actually. Now, I have a soft spot for Raise Your Fist and Yell, because that's about when I discovered Alice Cooper. Constrictor, man, that got a lot of hype when it came out. It was like his big comeback, you know, and it sounded more metallic than anything he had done before. And that record was a fucking turd, man. I don't think there was a single good song on there. Like fucking Feed My Frankenstein is probably the winner if there is one on there, but I wouldn't really call that song a winner. I'm gonna hype this one a little bit. This is a cool one too. This is actually an old band, but this sort of came out during the new wave era, and I actually found out about this because I probably would have ignored it because of the pedigree. But you know who really likes this record is one of the two guys who started High Roller, who I was friends with. He was living in Canada for a while at one point. He's since moved back to Switzerland, but yeah, Michael from High Roller. We talked kind of a lot. And I got some records from. Like, I got my Image record from him. I remember. Got my Metal Mirror 45 from him too, actually. And my Dragonfly single. But this is like one of his very favorite records. I like, you know, and based on a review that you read, and you know, it's really good. Like, it's not super heavy. In a way. In a way, it doesn't do anything groundbreaking, but it does everything that it does so well that it's kind of hard not to love this. And this is not an expensive record, okay? This is not one of these fucking $200 45s. This is like, you know, $10. Yeah, Average Man's Hero by Tractor. Tractor 81, because, I mean, I think they've been around 10 years at this point. This really is not a new wave band. This belongs in here the same way like a Budgie 45 from 1980 would, you know? Because even though it's kind of like not like full like balls out right now, it has a legitimate drive in it, you know? The singer's good. And then it has hooks too, like the chorus is gonna stay in your head after this. Except I'll play something else to like get a little relief from it. Anyway, yeah, don't snooze on this fucking single, man, because it's a good one and it won't cost you very much. Yeah, Thin Lizzy, what else are you gonna say about this one? Oh yeah, I have to say, Don't Believe a Word is still kind of a crap song, even on this thing, you know? I mean, the live version is a little heavier though on the album, but I don't know, man. I kind of feel like they fell prey to some of like the worst like things that happened in the 70s. Thin Lizzy did, like the whole saxophone thing in your rock record. It's like, no, dude, that's not a good move. You know, I'm sorry. You know, it sucks if you're Foreigner, and it sucks if you're Thin Lizzy. You know. And I listen to a lot of jazz. I've got no beef with saxophones. Here, like I fucking pull a record at random from over here that have saxophones on it. Well, Alright, this Paul Blais, a piano player. I don't know if there's a sax on this record, so I'm gonna have to eat my words here. I haven't played this one in a long time. Yeah, fuck. Alright, I just made an ass out of myself. But hey, it's gonna stay in the video because you know what? No shame, man. I'm too old for that shit. Here, I promised a saxophone record, so I'll show a really fucking good one. Oh fuck, dude, I'll flex a little bit. What the hell, man? It's an ESP Press of Spiritual Unity by Albert Eiler. There's saxophone on this one, motherfucker. You better believe there's some fucking saxophone on this record. Albert Eiler is fucking fantastic, okay? It's so noisy and aggressive, this stuff, that I kind of want to say that, like, this is the kind of shit you should be looking for if you like metal and you're curious about getting into jazz. But I just don't think it's the right path, because the fact is metal really does have, there's a lot of structure to it, you know what I mean? And something as free as this can be kind of hard to latch on to if you're not used to listening to that kind of music, you know? So, I'm not saying don't check out Albert Eiler. On the contrary, absolutely do. But, like, if you need to, like, make your way over there by way of, you know, John Coltrane, then, you know, Ornette Coleman, and then get to Albert Eiler, understood, man, that's no problem. It doesn't make you a poser or anything. It just means you're getting to know your jazz, and that's cool. Because I love jazz. It's like my number 2 thing I collect after metal, really, so in case y'all haven't figured that out. Is this a great song? What a great hook. Yeah, I never figured out what the big deal was with Thin Lizzy, though, man. I just gave up at a certain point. I was like, yes, I'm fucking. I just don't like them. They suck. Here, this record has sax on it, too. Come on. You want to hear this. How could you not want to hear this? It's definitely a soul jazz record. And honestly, it was a little bit light. I've been listening to... The last few weeks, I've been kind of going back and forth between the soul jazz and the metal. This week, I've listened to a lot of 45s. So that's kind of where I am today for the most part. But there's still a lot of soul jazz records sitting here. And a couple of hard bop ones, too, even. So that's one of the soul jazz ones that I pulled out to give a listen to. And, you know, it's not the heaviest one. It's not like one of these sort of, you know, gut bucket records. Like, you know, I don't know, what's a good example? I mean, like a lot of them, like so the big John Patton ones I have, I feel like are a lot more sort of, you know, more like a gut punch of a record, you know what I mean? And Freddie Roach I spent a lot of time listening to. That one's kind of lighter. Dare I say a little bit poppier. And it's a little more gimmicky too, like in the Hot Barbecue. It's every time they go, Hot Barbecue, you know, like the Surfari is going, tequila, you know? But it's still a cool record, man. It's a fun record, and it's kind of a hard record to be mad at, you know, if you're going to sit around and just sort of listen to something to relax to. Brother Jack McDuff knows what he's doing, man. And, he may not be my favorite jazz organist, but he's still a great jazz organist. How about that fucking speed? Fuck up. I fixed it. That happens a lot. Yeah, I usually put a little fucking note on the inner. If it's a plain white inner, I'll put like 45. So when I pull it, I don't get pissed off and have to get back up off the couch. Oh, God damn it, you know. Because the lead and groove is like enough time for me to go sit down. You know, and I go, oh, fuck, I have to get up again, right? Alright, here's a little shout out to Eric Bauer. Because I finally broke down and rolled the dice on this bad boy. I had this at my local, and it was pretty expensive, honestly. But I went to look for it online to see if it was cheaper, and it kind of wasn't. So, like, they have a 20% off day once a month, and I was like, you know something? I think it's time to check out Dr. Doom. I guess, man, this record's really good. I mean, the cover is so crappy. It's so a product of the CD era, you know? Like a cheap CD. Like some of those 666 Mafia ones from around then, too, but, It's just a fun record, man. Like, the beats are like really sort of straightforward, but really infectious. And like, the little skits are not annoying at all. And like, you know, I'm not a big lyrics guy, you know, and like, especially with a lot of the sex stuff and that, I kind of make me cringe a little bit a lot of the time. But fucking Cool Keith is just so fucking funny. Oh yeah, this is a Cool Keith record. Maybe I should have mentioned that. He's just so funny, man. This is just like a really fun record to listen to, you know? So, yeah, you know, I'm not gonna say go out and like invest in this one, you know. But it is a cool record. I think you can probably get it on CD or something like that too, you know. If it's not in print right now, it'll probably come in eventually, you know. Dr. Doom, you know, it's funny because like I listen to a lot of MF Doom with 2 O's, but this guy's got 3. That says he's not playing games, I guess. Yeah, it's one of those two that I pulled out last time when I was freaking out. So, yeah, let's talk about this one. I just listened to this one earlier today, Jaguar. And actually, because they were talking about it on a Heavy Metallurgy. I never started going into this in-depth review as, you know, they're inclined to do there. You know, I'm kind of more given to, like, the snappy one-liners than the actual, like, serious analysis. My first response, as always, or as for the last, I don't know, fucking 20 years, like, you know, the singles are where it's at. The first thing you need by Jaguar is Axe Crazy. The second thing you need is Heavy Metal Heroes, because there's a song on there, and you need Heavy Metal Heroes anyway, because it's one of the best fucking records of that whole era, even though it's a comp. And then the first single, and then if you want to hear the LP stuff, you should probably check out that live album that came out on Buried by Time and Dust, because a lot of the songs on here sound hotter on there. But they're talking about this, and I realized I hadn't actually listened to this fucking thing in kind of a long time. So I sat down and played it, and you know something, man? I like this record a lot more than I remembered. I don't know, maybe I've mellowed with age or something like that, but it just feels solid, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's not really unique, you know, it's not, again, it's not breaking any new ground. It's breaking less new ground than Tractor on that single, frankly. So, like, that's where the bar is. But it's heavier than I remembered it being. It's not as anemic as I sort of remembered it being. So, I don't know, man. Maybe I was in the middle of a death metal kick when I got this or something. And something about it rubbed me the wrong way. It's 82, you know? So it's pretty early. It's, or it was recorded in 82. It might not have come out until the next year. I don't remember. I actually got this at Recycled Records in San Francisco. They used to be on Haight Street. They closed probably 5 years ago now, so... R.I.P. to Recycled Records. That's a fun place to go to anyway, man. Anyway, definitely sounds like a record made by a bunch of kids. You know what I mean? We're sort of putting songs together and, like, not necessarily completely on top of their craft. I don't know if there are any really memorable guitar solos on here, but it's delivered with conviction. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing about this that's the greatest, but everything about this is honest, and like they were giving it everything. You know what I mean? They weren't leaving anything on the, you know, on the what's the expression? On the mat, maybe? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, though. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm gonna leave it out and listen to it again, like maybe in a couple days or something. Maybe then I'll go, God, what was I thinking, man? This fucking record is lame, you know. But this record really kind of rocks. So I've kind of rediscovered Jaguar. What can I say, you know? I've known about this band for a while, you know. I've known about them no longer than I've known about this band, Strana Officina. I actually showed the EP a few days ago, but I liked it enough that I went looking for this, and I was happy to find that this one on Jolly Roger Records out of Italy. A cool little label, like another indie out of Italy. A lot more, their ads are a lot more Italian than like High Rollers are German, you know what I mean? So it can be a little sort of harder to find your way through it if you don't know Italian. But and you know, they spend a lot of time doing like Gravedigger reissues and shit like that. But when they do something good, they do some really solid shit, man. And this Strana Officina record is really good. Yeah. Looks like there's some bonus tracks on here, and they're good enough that it didn't even offend me, too. I actually thought this was a full-length album. I didn't even realize this until just now showing it. Probably had this for about a month now. Man, how about those names, man? I see there's the Caponera brothers. Fabio, because of course his name is Fabio, right? And Roberto. Oh, and Enzo. There's got to be a guy named Enzo. Yeah, anyway, man. This is sort of the tail end of the big Italian kick I was on. I put most of that shit away again. But this one I wanted to listen to a couple more times before this one went back on the shelf. So, yeah. This guy came out too. It's funny, when I think of Onslaught, I always think of Power from Hell. But this time I was like, no, I really like The Force. It's a really good record, and I never fucking play it, because when I think of Onslaught, I always think of Power from Hell. So, I pulled this one out. I sort of forced myself to pull this one out, and of course it's great. You know, it definitely kind of leans more to like the American thrash thing than Power from Hell did, which was sort of its own kind of like sui generis, like just weird, like rough, but like more disciplined than Venom in a weird sort of way. Maybe by virtue of the fact that they had more punk roots than Venom did. I don't know. I've heard from people who like punk rock that their first demo where they were still a punk band was really good, but I don't know, man. I don't really give a shit, honestly. Feels a little dickish to say that too, you know, but it also feels a little bit dickish to say that this guy looks like a weenie, but it's still true, you know. Sometimes you just gotta live with these things, because this is a really good record. You gotta love this metal font too. That's like one of the metal, typefaces right there, isn't it? Anyway, really cool record. Definitely sort of cleaned up and kind of more professional than Power from Hell. More like sort of a fully realized like concept, but yeah, I don't know, man. Power from Hell was my introduction. I like Power from Hell when I first heard it back in like '87 or '88 when I heard that for the first time. It kind of blew me away. And back then I was young and still kind of afraid of the whole Satan thing too. So it had that extra like threshold it had to cross to get itself into my ears, and I still just fucking loved it. So, yeah. What else do you want to sample here? Oh, there was another one I was going to hype before. I don't remember what it was now. Oh, yeah, I don't think I've shown this one before. There's another one that's not a super expensive one, but this is the EF band. And this is one of those bands that's sort of arguably a new wave of British heavy metal band, because I think either most of them were from Sweden or all of them were from Sweden, but they were active in the UK, so it sort of got lumped in with it. But it's like, it's funny because like this band is considered a new wave of British heavy metal band by some people. It's considered a Swedish metal band by some other people. So in theory, you have two different like groups of collectors like looking for this shit. But the records still aren't that expensive, so I don't know. Maybe a lot of people don't like them or something like that. I can go for a cover though, like that, you know. And again, it was a cheap one. I was like, "What the hell? Let's check it out." And it was pretty fucking good, you know. More evidence that a record doesn't have to cost $100 to be really fun. That little blue note there in the opening riff is kind of awesome too, is that they're kind of covering it now with the other instrument, but yeah, it's a pretty decent groove, man. There you got a little talk box going on there. You can't argue with a fucking talk box, man. Ask Stevie Wonder about that shit. Yeah, well, I think that's about it for today. Let's see if there's anything else here that I've, the final sweep, in case you don't forget, I'm going, let's see if there's anything else here. I'm looking for a record where, like, after I turn off the camera, I go, fuck, I meant to show that one, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm looking for right now. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think we're in good shape. I gave this one a chance too, actually, back on the jazz, but didn't dig this one as much as I was hoping to. It's like 70s jazz and like laid back, but a little bit more sort of leaning towards like smooth jazz than I would have liked. It's not bad. I don't want to like brand it with that and say, yeah, this sucks, stay away from it implicitly, but it's no hot barbecue, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I think that's what we're doing for today. We're just gonna leave it there. Yeah, I like the EF band though, man. I mean, you know, they're probably never gonna be my favorite band. But I've never heard an EF band record where I was like, oh, that sucks. You know, I have like a LP or two over there too. I think I have one actually. I don't remember the name of it right off. I can picture the cover though. Anyway, it's a terrible name, but don't let that put you off. It's a good band. Just like a lot of this stuff, right? I mean, this is a terrible cover. We just established the record's great, so hey. Alright, well anyway, on that note, thanks as always for watching. I'll see you next time.